This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
Welcome into the Sports Source Digital Network. John Pennington, joined by Ollie Lane, by Bob Hodge, by John Wilkerson. This is a show we do. It's called 5 Questions. Usually it's getting you prepared for the next day's Tennessee game. Kind of fun, goofy questions, just from all over the sports world. With Tennessee not having a game this week, I thought we can go more big picture. So, first question. Tennessee hasn't won an SEC title game since 1998. They haven't been there. They went in 2001, they went in 2004, they went in 2007. Haven't been there since 2007, so 18 years. No one even talks about that game as a goal because it's hard to get there. Mm-hmm. You got to be tops in the league now, one or two. There's no more just being the best in your division. Is that a step in the right direction as a sport? You know, where you say, yes, it's about national titles. Or is something lost because it used to be about conference titles? They used to matter. Good thing or a bad thing that we've now gotten to the point where we've made it kind of like the SEC basketball tournament. Everybody celebrates when you win one, and then if you lose in the second round of the tournament, this year sucked. Nobody cares about the regular season. Good thing or a bad thing that college football has gone in that direction?
I think it's a bad thing, just because in terms of you always held on to the fact that SEC is the best in the nation. And whenever that SEC game happened, that was like, well, that's the two best teams in the nation probably. And granted, they both can't go to the national unless you're Alabama, LSU that one year. Yeah. But, I mean, for me personally, when I played, I wanted to get to an SEC championship game more than anything. Being in Atlanta at the end of the season, being at the top of the SEC, because the SEC to me still is the most important, the biggest, best conference in college football. You get to the top of the pinnacle of that means something. But now, like you said, it doesn't have that same effect. It doesn't have that same intuitive just to hold to that, because now you're looking at a playoff and a national championship. And yes, in the grand scheme of things, a national championship is going to be remembered a lot longer than an SEC championship game will be. But I think you're losing something with having the importance of what that conference championship game means.
If you take college football, there used to be a monument to the word tradition. Mm-hmm. And they've taken a jackhammer to it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the jackhammer. Mm-hmm. I mean, now if somebody said, ask me, does Tennessee go to the playoff or go to the SEC championship game? Well, give me the playoff.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame, because it's just exactly like Ollie said. That is now something that you've taken. SEC basketball tournament, John, perfect example. Yeah. Who cares? Yeah. And I'm afraid that's where we're at.
Yeah.
John?
I do think that it would still be something, again, if you did it. So if you get there and you win it, because you had bragging rights, because it was hard. You had to finish in front of Georgia and Florida. And then you could turn back to the rest of the teams in the East and say, aha. And if you had that championship, then that was something you add to what is your historic total. You're among the top 3 in the most SEC championships of any school. So that would be fun to add to that total. But again, with the exception of getting a first round bye in the college football playoff, that's the only thing that keeps this relevant, because it benefits you greatly, but at the same time, it's also a roll of the dice. If you get there and you're on the fence as to whether you get into the field of 12 or soon to be 16 and you lose, then you might cost yourself the chance at a college football playoff by coming up short against what might be the best team in the country.
I just look at Georgia last year. Will they remember, when their fans look back, will they look at 2024 and say, SEC champions, or will they say, oh yeah, that's the year we got screwed because Carson Beck got hurt and we didn't have him in the playoff? I think it's the latter. And I think when I was a younger guy, I wanted a playoff. I wanted playoff, give me that. The older I got, the more I thought, you're going to destroy the regular season.
Yeah.
And I think you're there. I think you have. It's not destroyed, but it's been damaged. I think that I'm somebody, I hate Ohio State, but I lived in Columbus, Ohio, and it gave me a great appreciation for the Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah.
The fact that Ohio State could lose to Michigan in the last game of the year, and none of their fans care because you still got in a playoff, rolled through the playoff, and won a national championship with 2 losses, and you lost to Michigan, you can't argue that the regular season hasn't been lessened. It has. Yeah. And I hate that, because it was one of the things that was special. It hurt because, oh my gosh, we lost in week 3. There goes the season. You're fighting, hoping other teams lose ahead of you to open the door for you. But at the same time, excellence was rewarded.
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
now it's like you can get in with 2, maybe 3 losses at some point. So, okay, I don't think it's a good thing that we're past the point of conference titles mattering. I think you're right. If you win one, of course, everybody's going to celebrate that. But if you win one and then turn around and lose in the first round of the playoff, blew it. All right. Question number 2. Arkansas Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek has publicly stated that the Razorbacks can compete for a national championship in basketball and baseball. Football, he admitted, they just don't have the cash. As a fan, do you care that fewer and fewer teams can afford to win a national title these days? Or do you say, fewer teams to compete with? What do you look at? You went first last time. Let me start with.
I'm going to go with that's the way it happens. That's life in the fast lane these days. Yes, it was great back, what was it, 30 some odd years ago when Georgia Tech came out of nowhere and
Split
won
with
a
Washington.
piece of a
Yeah,
national
yeah.
championship. Washington. But you know what? We're heading in a direction where you're going to have 50, 60 teams legitimately competing
Yeah.
for national championships.
If Arkansas can, it's not 50 or 60.
No, and I
think
mean,
it's
and you're right.
10 to 15 maybe.
But here's the deal. That's the direction it's going. I say get there, and I'm a tradition guy, but get there sooner than later. Let's find out what we're going to have for the sport going forward.
It will be interesting to see exactly how a school like Arkansas manages that, because at some point you've got to just tell your fan base, and he has. It's like, well, we've got ground to make up. Not sure that we can close the gap enough to where we're in the mix, and that's a hard place to be. And you wonder whether or not the pressure will be to reallocate exactly what funds you have focused where, because of course the great share of their championships are all track and field and cross country. So I would imagine they're probably going to continue to bring home hardware, but I just think that we're still very early into the time as to right now you've got schools that believe they have taken their path and what they're going to be on forging forward with NIL and athletics. I still think there is going to be some hard turns for some teams as to we kind of have to try anyway.
Yeah, I don't like it. As a fan, congratulations, you're competing with five teams. I prefer the NFL to college football. The reason being, teams are more balanced. Best team can beat the worst team. Worst team can beat the best team. I like that. I think that's fun for it. And if it just gets to the point where, here's the thing: you're Tennessee, so you're not worried about this because you're making a huge bank. If something happens to where you don't make huge cash anymore, you're not going to like this setup because you're not one of the ones that can afford it. You go, we just can't afford it. Nobody I know of, says, "Man, I enjoy being a Cincinnati Reds fan." We have to pray to put one perfect year together, and then we'll face the Dodgers in the playoffs and get killed. I love being a small market team. I don't like the small market college football.
I don't know. Looking at this from two ways, you're giving fans one. It's almost like you're giving something to put the blame on that. Oh, we weren't good because our fans didn't give us enough money to go out and buy the talent. All right, come on. And then two, you're also giving fans ammunition to say, well, I paid for that and it sucks. So I get to just say whatever I want about it.
Yes.
And no remorse or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, for Arkansas to make a comment like that, you can win in basketball and baseball, but not football. Sounds like to me it's just a mismanagement of where they're putting their funds. I mean, if you really want to win, you got Walmart over there. I mean, I can't imagine Walmart running out of money anytime.
Tyson
Unfortunately,
Chicken.
that's where they bought their players.
But I think here's the thing: that's also a basketball school. Like,
Yeah.
it's the closest to like Kentucky. So you're always going to have to invest in basketball. And if you invest that much in basketball, are you going to be able to invest? You don't have enough to invest in everything, I think, is what they're saying, because it is out in the middle of nowhere.
Can I twist my answer just a little bit? I shouldn't say I liked it, but I just think that's what it's going to become.
Right.
So there you go. Let's go ahead and do it.
And then
Rip the Band-Aid.
and then follow Ollie's argument and statement. I think this makes their AD look poor compared to others, because it's like, so you're just taking this.
It's a hell of a statement. I mean,
It is.
I don't know how you.
Well,
it's going to be Bobby Petrino is my guess as your coach, because he's going to take it for less money because he's desperate to get it.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to wind up doing, because who else is going to go to a place that says, we can't compete for titles?
We can't give
And
enough
when
money.
you start falling from the upper echelon of big-time college football, where do you end? I mean, do you go from Little Rock and big stadiums in 2 cities to where you're playing in front of 20,000 people on Friday night on ESPNU?
UCLA. UCLA is playing in front of 20,000 if they're lucky, and they're running $200 million in the red over the last 5 years or something. So I just don't think that's great for the sport. But let's move on. Question number 3. And I didn't give you a chance to write these down, so it's going to be tough for you to give me your list. But I will start with John Wilkerson. Everybody else be compiling your list in your head. List the SEC schools you feel have less than a 10% chance. So I didn't want to make it never, because somebody could have a fluky year. Less than a 10% chance of ever winning an SEC title, now that it requires being a top 2 team in the league to reach Atlanta. That drops the pool. You can't just be, you got hot in a bad division. What SEC teams do you give less than a 10% chance of ever winning a title in Atlanta?
Let's start with Missouri and Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And then I would include Arkansas, because that's self-professed.
They just said they weren't going to do it.
That's right. And so that would be my first 3. And then after that, probably Mississippi State.
Traditionally the second worst team in SEC history.
Correct.
To Vanderbilt, yeah.
Yeah, so those 4 would be right off the top for me.
I got 2 more I will throw in there.
Well,
And
Kentucky?
Okay. Well, we're going to do each of our own lists.
Oh, each of our own lists.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So would you?
I'll just stop at 4 so other people can mention other schools.
Okay, I would go with all the ones you mentioned.
Yes.
But I would have Kentucky.
Yes.
I would have Kentucky in there before Missouri even, and I've put South Carolina in there.
That was also one that was
So
going to be.
I've got 10 that can do it. I got 6 that can't. Vandy, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Missouri, South Carolina, Arkansas. I don't see them. You have to be one of the 2 best teams in the league. I don't see any of them doing it. Now Arkansas has been to many SEC title games.
Yep.
Different era. South Carolina's been a couple times. Missouri's been a couple times when they walked in the league. Mississippi State, they played Tennessee. Have they been is that the only time they've made it?
Yes.
Okay. And Kentucky and Vandy have never made it. Ole Miss has never made it.
Correct.
But I do think where Lane Kiffin has them now,
Right.
and it pains me to say it, but I could see them having one of those years where they go into the portal and have a special year. These schools, I think, are going to have a real hard time doing it. Bob,
Okay,
do you have any
it
different
was
schools?
John's list plus Kentucky.
And
for
South
me.
Carolina for me. But
And South Carolina to me is just a little bit different.
Okay.
Because when Spurrier was there, he got more out of them. Of course, now a greatly different era, even though it was just a few years ago. But I'm going to go with John's 4: Vandy, Mississippi State, Missouri, and I'm throwing Arkansas, just simply because they just said they weren't.
Yep.
And Kentucky. Those would be my 5.
All right. Obviously, Vandy, Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri. Trying to think of who I forgot. Arkansas. And I feel like one that I'd probably throw up there is Auburn at this point in time. I know they have a tradition past.
Yes.
But that was, I feel like the last time I've really seen Auburn be relevant is when Cam Newton was playing
I thought
quarterback.
of Auburn too, but yes.
They got crazy boosters.
Yeah.
They got enough money.
But it
I think
doesn't
they
seem
could
like
do
they're, I don't know. It just, when you're looking at it too, and I feel like Oklahoma would be on that list. I don't see them cracking into that SEC title. I don't see Oklahoma being able to successfully go through a whole SEC season and being undefeated and or more than one loss to get in that game, especially when you're Alabama, Georgia, they're always going to be consistent players. I think Tennessee's making themselves to be a consistent player in that. Florida will get back to where Florida was at some point. It's just hard now for an entrenched team. They didn't get the opportunity to play the East-West division. You got to be the top 2. I don't know if Oklahoma will get to that.
What about A&M?
A&M, I think, can get to that. A&M's been consistently in this league. I know they haven't. I don't think they've been to an SEC title game yet, but they're consistently in that top 10 mix of national rankings and that top 5 mix of the SEC. So
there are a lot of people that feel that Oklahoma in the SEC is going to be what Nebraska is in the Big Ten. You've gone and signed your own death warrant. I'm not there yet because of that's traditionally one of the top 5 schools in college football.
Well, I think
so I'm not there yet, but I see where you're going.
Portal change things too, and Oklahoma is not at the point where that will not help them.
Gotcha.
They thought, that they had their next legendary coach, and he bailed on them to go to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
And of course, he has yet to show that he's a legendary
Yeah.
coach
Yeah.
at either
Yeah.
location. But he was he was a Heisman whisperer for a couple of seasons, and now he just can't seem to get anything on track. So you have to wonder who's going to be the coach that lifts Oklahoma back to the level where history says they belong.
Okay, so it seems like the ones we all agreed on, Vandy, Kentucky. Well, and you agreed with it after the fact. With Kentucky, you put
Yes.
okay. Vandy, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Arkansas and South Carolina as very similar.
I do
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
See them as very
I think so.
But we all got. That's the point of this. We don't have to arrive at the same
Yes.
conclusion.
Yeah.
We want to know what everybody thinks. Question number 4. There are 7 SEC schools who do not share their nickname with any other FBS program. And I was surprised that Gamecocks, I forgot that they shared it with Jacksonville State. So they're not in there. But there are 7 who don't share their nickname. I want you to rank them best to worst. And here they are in alphabetical order. Commodores, Crimson Tide, Gators, Longhorns, Razorbacks, Sooners, and Volunteers. Everybody else is Tigers, Bulldogs, Wildcats. Yawn. I'll give these people credit for having unique nicknames. But who has started? You haven't started one yet, have you? Or have you?
I think
We all
I
started
did,
one?
but
Yeah.
Okay. Rank your 7. The ones you like best or worst.
best to worst, number 1, Longhorns. I really like Longhorns. Number 2, Razorbacks.
Great steaks.
Razorbacks. Once again, I can eat it. Number 3, Volunteers. Number 4, Sooners, because I really don't quite understand the whole Sooner thing. I get it. But 5, Gators. 6, Crimson Tide, because it needs an S on the end of it.
Crimson Tides.
Crimson
Or you just
Tides.
mean nicknames that don't have it?
Yes.
Non-plural nicknames. I agree with you. They suck.
There you go. And 7, Commodores, because when somebody said, "What do you think of the Commodores?" I said, "Man, that Lionel Richie." There you go.
Okay. John, what do you got? And we can start debating these a little bit now. that
Sure
we
enough.
have a couple.
Well, it's hard for me to give Volunteers any spot other than number 1, just because that's how I grew up. But the fact that it's one of 2 of these nicknames that have a state that shares the same nickname, that's something worth setting to the side. But if you're just going full on name itself, I think Gators is one of the coolest nicknames ever. So I would have that one number 1.
Okay.
And then as far as the other 5, since I separated Volunteers from the pack of 7, then number 2 for me would be the Crimson Tide. I just love that one, especially when it comes to football. It paints a picture. And then from there, I think Commodores is pretty cool in terms of the naval aspect of it. Longhorns, not so impressed for me. Razorbacks 6, and then Sooners 7, because you can't help but ask, what the heck is a Sooner?
Okay. Well, this is interesting. All right. I'll go next, and Ollie gets to go last. I got Longhorns number 1 and Razorbacks number 2. My beloved Longhorns.
Your beloved Longhorn.
No, I think that those are their logo is cool. Longhorns, nobody has that. It's a tough animal. It's not like the Gophers, you know.
Yeah.
Longhorn, that's a bevo. Doesn't look like something you want to run into in the middle of the night in the field. Razorbacks, even though it's a pig, that's a cool name. Razorbacks just sounds bad, sounds tough. You don't want to, another thing you don't want to run into. Number 3, same idea. I don't want to run into a gator.
Yeah.
Gator's pretty good. I like gators. So Razorbacks, Longhorns, Razorbacks, Gators. I'm then going to go Commodores if it were anyone but Vanderbilt. I get it. I guess he was a Commodore.
Correct.
But it would make more sense if you were, I don't know, on a body of water somewhere.
Yes.
And I'm not counting the Cumberland River. Like if it were if Navy were the Commodores instead of the midshipmen, okay.
Yeah.
If Boston College were the Commodores, I would get it. But still, just on the basis of the name, that's next for me. I go Sooners next because, well, here's why. If you think about the land grab, how did all those people get to Oklahoma in those covered wagons? I think that makes sense. Okay, that ties. You would think then that I would like Volunteers next, but I just look at it. It's ties to your state. I get it, and I went to UT, but I just know around the country people are like, what the hell does that mean? Well, we volunteer for what? I mean, I get it. It ties to the state. I would make this same argument for Tar Heels. What the hell does that mean? And I know the history of it, and it goes from this Civil War, blah 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 blah. I just think if people around have to go, huh, what's that mean? Then I'm not ranking it highly. And Crimson Tide, I got the same feeling as Bob. I want nicknames. If they were the Red Elephants, I'd like it better than Crimson Tide. It's traditional. You know who it is.
Yep.
But I just think it's kind of strange. And I would say the same thing about the Tulane Green Wave. So mine are Longhorns, Razorbacks, Gators, Commodores, Sooners, Volunteers, Crimson Tide. What are you doing?
First and foremost, Volunteers. Volunteers is the best nickname that you could ever give to a team.
See, that's not the point of this, though.
I'm just. But in reality, though, I mean, growing up in Knoxville, you get the history of where Volunteers come from. And I always just thought that was so cool. Ties back to the Alamo and us sending all those people down there to defend Texas. And so, I mean, that to me just speaks a lot.
It's more like it's the Spanish-American War, isn't it?
No.
There's aspects that reach back to the Revolutionary War.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, it goes all the way through.
So you've got varying levels of volunteerdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought was it the Mexican-American War where we sent 8 billion troops? Isn't that what it's
Yes.
from?
Something like that.
Okay, I said Spanish-American. I meant
But you had the Over the Mountain Boys and others that were a part.
And the other nickname they gave them was the Butternut State because of the uniform.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just think,
I'm
just
just
think how,
just
just
looking
think
at
how
the volunteers.
original
We should know
Butternuts
this.
would have been.
Yeah.
I always heard that it was, part of like David Crockett going down to the Alamo and all that kind of stuff.
The logo is there. Yeah, I thought it was the Mexican-American War.
But I mean, I get your point to it too as well, that sometimes people ask, well, what does that mean? What's a volunteer? But I think it means more when you know the history behind it. It's just a cool history to add to it that we, as Tennesseans, will volunteer and help anybody in need. But second, I got to go with the Razorbacks. I think, again, that's just a really cool name, unique, different style of a name. And trust me, I don't want to be in a room with a Razorback, let alone 100 yards within a Razorback. 3, I got the Longhorns. Plus, I love those schools that do the live mascots. And having, was it Vivo, with the big horns? I mean, it's pretty cool to see every Saturday. 4, I got the Sooners. Grew up, my uncle was an Oklahoma fan, lives in that way, so I got somewhat bred into what Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's cool. They come out with the scooter every single game and all that kind of stuff. 5, I got the Tide. Just, it's like you said, historic name. Roll Tide, roll. I mean, they've got all the different things they can use with it. 6, I'd go the Gators, and 7, finish it up with the Commodores. I don't like Vanderbilt. I don't like the nickname, the Commodores. I don't like how, because they call themselves the Commodores, they get to sound that huge horn every single time they do anything positive.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty much where my
Anchor
list-
down.
Yeah, anchor down.
You've been anchored down for about 100 years now, guys.
All right, from Tennessee's official site. Maybe I need to check up on my history. The history of the volunteer state began with the War of 1812. So this War of 1812 is where it starts with General Andrew Jackson had led more than 1,500 soldiers from Tennessee at the Battle of New Orleans. Name truly took hold during the Mexican-American War when James K. Polk made an appeal for 2,600 volunteers and he got 30,000. So it's War of 1812 and the Mexican-American War. And as much time as I spend in New Orleans, I should have remembered War of 1812, but they all run together.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to no history class.
But the area was known for it before it was a state. I mean, it predates
I'm just
Tennessee.
telling you what UT's
I
official
understand
site
that
said.
because they weren't a state.
I got the word.
That's right. There are other words.
Not according to UT, buddy. All right, last one's just for John. Question number 5. Do you have any concerns about Tony Vitello ever leaving Tennessee for a managing role in Major League Baseball? Because the Athletic kicked his name in as a possible fit for the San Francisco Giants. John Wilkerson, take it away.
What's funny is it's also been kicked in by the Athletic as an outside-the-box candidate for the now vacancy in Atlanta. So
I missed that
just,
one, okay.
Yeah, well, I guess there was somebody who said, I need one more name, and it's like, I'll just borrow my co-worker's name. But anyhow, sure, I think there's a reason why you include it just for the conversation. But to me, you haven't seen this from any major league team because he has zero pro experience in regards to managing a roster, in terms of managing personalities. I believe he knows the game top to bottom. I think he would be fine in a role where if he was given this kind of charge. I just don't see an organization making this move. I think it's fun to talk about, and I certainly think that he is a nationally known baseball coach.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, sure, talk about him all you want, but I would be stunned, one, for a team to take that path, and then another, would be for him to accept it, because I think he loves the college game. I think he loves being able to build what his program looks like, and I think he likes that kind of control.
Yeah, you just if it happened, you would have everybody in Major League Baseball go, holy. They would be blown away because it doesn't happen. We talked before, we were talking earlier today, Pat Murphy is the one guy who's, that's the name, Pat Murphy?
Yes,
with
correct.
the Brewers. He was at Arizona State, left during an NCAA scandal, had to go coach the Netherlands baseball team, comes back, works in an organization, works his way up through the organization to finally get it. He did not just hire him straight out of a college dugout. That would be a wild, that would be akin, just history-wise, that would be akin to Notre Dame hiring Jerry Faust from a high school. That's just, it would be that big of a stunner. That's no knock on Tony Vitello. I think it shows you, as you said, he's the number one name in college baseball right now. So throw it out there as, what do you think of this? But yeah, I don't see that happening. But stranger things have happened. We shall see. I did read somebody.
You're right. Somebody nicknamed their team the Crimson Tide. So stranger things have
Stranger things have happened. All right, Bob Hodge, John Wilkerson, Ollie Lane. We've all proven that we're not sure why they call themselves volunteers, although I like the name. It has something to do with history. We got a lot of volunteers here. I still say Tar Heels is stupid. So thanks to everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Authentic frontier gibberish. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that other stuff. Leave a comment, make fun of us for not knowing War of 1812. And John still says that's wrong. We'll see you next time on the Sports Source Digital Network.